Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ion Canon podcast, your home for in-depth discussion on the lore, the narrative, and the big ideas of the whole canon from the galaxy far, far away. I got to tweak that, got to workshop that. But my name is Matthew Neugebauer, and I am coming to you, as always, from Underworld North Studios in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I'm joined from across the continent by your friend of mine, Mr. Joel Davis. Joel, how you doing this week?
It's not the same. It's not
I
the
know.
same. We've been doing High Republic for the last 4 years. Well, not 4 years. 'Cause I don't think
Yeah,
we started, but at least 4 years.
coming up to 4 years.
I know. It's
January
like
will be 4 years.
I know. So it's
Yeah,
almost, we've been around as long as the High Republic's been around, almost, give
yeah.
or take, maybe a
So
year or two.
just about, yeah.
No, it's
So
weird.
yeah. We'll
Yeah.
we'll workshop it. We'll figure it out. There we go. Maybe we'll bring it back. We'll see what happens. But this week we're talking about Ewan McGregor. We're talking about John Boyega. We're talking about Tim Zahn. We're talking about Ethan Sachs and Paulo Villanelli. Some other folks named Matthew, Ash, and Dominic. Yeah, what are we talking about?
For
What are we
those
talking about?
guys.
Who are those guys? The
Uh,
premier genre fandom event on this north side of the border. It is just around the corner. We're gonna get you set up except for all the Star Wars content at Fan Expo Canada. I kind of call it the calm before the con that I like to do, but I won't be able to wander around the convention center this year, so we'll have to do it tonight. Plus, we're gonna do an extended grab bag edition of our weekend Star Wars. Just trying something new to me. I know you and Dom did something similar a while back, so gonna give this a roll. Give this a roll and see what happens. Because whenever we do it this week, we want to keep talking about it. Like it's interesting topics, but then
no.
So, uh, and hello from New Zealand. How's it going from Aotearoa? Um, there we go. So yeah, looking forward to this show. Looking forward to this weekend. It's gonna be fun. Give me a fun weekend coming up. First, let's the plugs out of the way. You can follow us on Blue Sky at ioncannon.bisky.social. Also, of course, at Ion Cannon Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, although it's kind of dormant, and at the SWU on Instagram and Twitter and Blue Sky and Threads and all the places that Ben likes to throw stuff up. And
Yes.
when I send it to him, post this, Ben, he posts it, which is great. So there we go. It's over on the flagship. And if audio is more your speed, check out Ion Cannon Podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, let us know if that's how you prefer, and we'll make sure you get the link. Also, again, the links are in the description down below if that is what you prefer. Also, we are, of course, proudly part of the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. And here on the Underworld YouTube channel, we have YouTube memberships and we got super chats. So we are grateful for any kind of engagement, any kind of support you're willing to provide. If you comment down below, we'll get to it when we can. If you super chat us, we will interrupt whatever thought we have to address your comment, your question, and whatnot. Also, of course, in the network is the Discord server, and down below you can get a link to the Discord server. We keep on keeping on, having events, having screenings, just conversations, chats, all that stuff. Anything happening this weekend or happening recently?
My plan for this week will be this Friday to do a special viewing party of Star Wars Visions Volume 1 in
Nice.
preparation for Visions Volume 3, which is, I believe,
it's a good question.
October?
Good question. I forget when that's coming out.
It was like the last thing this year because I'm like,
November. No. October 29th. Yes.
October
So just
20.
before Halloween.
It's so long. The Star Wars drought is like, ugh.
Sort of screen drought, Joel. The screen drought.
Star Wars screen
Screen
drought.
drought.
Like,
Yes. Because there is a Star Wars story coming out every Wednesday.
yes.
You know what it is. You know what medium it is. It's comic books, and of course, Tractor Beam's comics. Sorry, I should say check out the link in the description for the Discord. We're doing fun stuff in there. We're talking about comic books. Also, the Tractor Beam Comics reviews every Wednesday. Chris Abbott and I chat about the comics that came out this week, and I think last week, of course, was Jedi Knights #6. I took a break last week, so we're picking that up. And ongoing #4 coming out this Wednesday by Alex Segura. Star Wars #4. I guess we probably shouldn't call it ongoing, but who knows how long it's going to be, but yeah, ongoing number 4. And the short story from Insider 233, not officially, ostensibly not a High Republic story, but it's kind of a High Republic story. It's set during Order 66, but it's kind of a High Republic story. So yeah, definitely check that out for our
I
conversation.
mean, look, until Marvel says anything, we're gonna call it an ongoing. It's still an ongoing until the Marvel editor sings.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's probably the way to go until we know when the thing ends.
Exactly.
Go on. Yeah, and so yeah, Tractor Beam Comics reviews this Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Underworld YouTube channel and Facebook and Twitch and Facebook. Just that episode 9 Facebook thing, and sorry, also Eye on Canon Twitch. Check that out as well. That's where everything will be. Also, stay tuned. Got to get my button gear for something special down the pipe. But before that, at least I'll announce that on Wednesday. But before that, what we do know. Speaking of Tractor Beam, speaking of Fan Expo Canada, Tractor Beam live. Now, Chris isn't coming up all the way from New Jersey, but our friend Ash is. She's it's basically her panel, her baby. But let's get Ethan Sachs and Paulo Villanelli to chat about bounty hunters and Codenamer and Codebreaker and Star Wars and whatever else. So that's what we're doing. I think 501st is going to help us out, going to troop us in. So check that out this Friday. If you're at Fan Expo Canada, check us out this Friday, August 22nd at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's in room 704. I think it's called Theater 4. Look for room 704 at 6 p.m. That's where we will be. If you're going to be at Fan Expo, please do say hello. We're friendly. Ash is a very charismatic character, but she's very friendly as well. So please do say hi, and yeah, of course, say hi to Ethan and Paolo. They'll be good people. So yeah, looking forward to that, and then stay tuned on this here channel for the video. If the technical the force works, I'm able to record this properly. Had some good luck before, so yeah. Please do stay tuned for this panel coming up on YouTube sometime after that. But if you are at Fan Expo and you want to be there, hopefully we might have time for questions. If not, time after for questions and conversation. Please do say hi. Looking forward to this. I think this will be Ash and my 5th panel we've done. 2nd Star Wars panel. No Taylor Swift panel this year, but that's okay. Looking forward to this one. Yeah, that leads us right into our main topic, Fan Expo Canada. Let's go. I guess kind of our main topic, not so much our main topic. We don't have a main topic this week, but we have this conversation, this thing I want to just chat about. Folks at Touchwood, not Torchwood, but Touchwood is the
Torchwood, Doctor Who coming.
There's lots of Doctor Who actually at this con, usually is, but
Nice.
Touchwood and Fan Expo setting Dominic up with press passes every year. So happy to chat about Fan Expo Canada because this one's going to be pretty good. I think usually it's gotten pretty good in the last few years in terms of guests not canceling. In terms of Star Wars guests coming out, especially because it's the Fan Expo circuit. It's very corporatized. But the trade-off is we get folks coming, signing contracts, so you'll come to all these shows in the US and Canada. And so, yeah, with a few days to go, there's going to be a bunch. So looking forward to this. Looking forward to doing what coverage, and of course the panel, and maybe a few interviews here and there. But yeah, let's dive in. There's a few. What do I do? Push the wrong button there. A few little chunks, few highlights here. Want to mention the big screen celebs. Like we do get the draw. We do get a bunch of folks. I mean, there's lots of like I said, Doctor Who. There's Back to the Future, whole Back to the Future celebration happening. Haley Steinfeld is coming. Yeah, a whole bunch of folks. John Boyega is going to be here. I've never seen John Boyega live, so that'll be. I don't think. Is that true? Did I see him at Celebration? Anyway, John Boyega, he's going to be Sunday, August 24th at 11 a.m. in Theater 2, which is room 702, which is a sizable room. I wish they had gotten a bigger room, but I mean, the reason he's there is because Daphne Keane is going to be in the main theater in the downstairs. That's also Sunday at 12:15. So kind of a pick your poison there. Daphne Keane is now a bigger star, I think. So he's John Boyega. He's kind of, I don't know, Joel, what do you think? He's kind of I don't want to say retreated. He faced so much of the nonsense during the sequel trilogy that maybe he isn't. There were some tensions, I think, and so
he hasn't really done any big roles in any successful movies after Star Wars. It was like Pacific Rim 2 that bombed. I can't really think of any other big blockbusters. Meanwhile, Daphne Keane got to be in Star Wars, but let's face it, she gets to be X-22. Yeah, and probably for quite a while.
Yeah. Like in Deadpool Wolverine. Speaking of Deadpool Wolverine, the dog pool, the actual dog. I don't know how that's gonna. Apparently, you can get a potograph. I just found that out. I'm just paying attention now. But yeah, so Daphne Keane, of course, Jackie Lawn, going to be there. Omid Abtahi. This was interesting. Dr. Pershing. Nice. And he's gonna do autographs, and they'll be not the worst autographs. $60 Canadian for an autograph from him. He's not doing any Star Wars panels, but he's doing a pair of D&D plays on Saturday and Sunday. I think the Saturday one is a musical, so that might be interesting to check out.
I just saw his last episode of Mandalorian last week with my dad.
Yeah, so good. I mean, it's too bad. Like, I see him talk about Dr. Pershing for 45 minutes. Why not? Like, such a juicy character, rich character. So, and who knows? We haven't. Last we left him in that brainwashing chamber thing, right?
His brain's fried. That's
yeah, but he can come back. Who knows? See what happens there. So, maybe get a chance to chat with him. Hopefully, that'll be good. And lastly, this is the big one, big kahuna. Ewan freaking McGregor, Saturday at 6 p.m. That's in the main theater. And one of the reasons I'm excited for this, obviously, Revenge of the Sith at 20. I'm a little bummed because I know it was just Fan Expo one of Chicago. I think it used to be C2E2. The Fan Expo bought it, I think, but Fan Expo Chicago, Ewan and Hayden were there on stage together, and Hayden is from here, but no word of him coming up. Which
he's in the UK filming Ahsoka.
Oh, that might be why. That's probably it. He can fly home. Let him fly home for a weekend. Come on, give him a weekend off to see friends.
Got to do all those Mortis flashbacks and whatnot.
Here's hoping, but if so, that'll be worth it. But let him come home for the weekend, see friends and family. It's okay. But
I don't know. I don't even know if he's in the UK right now. I'm just assuming because they're filming Ahsoka right now. We know he's in it, so
yeah, it's probably true. But Ewan McGregor. So here's the funny thing. So during the strike, Hayden was announced to come to Fan Expo. I guess it would have been 2023. Then the strike hits, and he's still announced. We still say, pay $25 and you're guaranteed to get in to see him, to see his Q&A. But then he must have really kind of, I don't want to say he really soul searched about this, and it was really, I don't know. It seemed like kind of up to the last minute, finally deciding he'll do autographs, but he won't, and photo ops, but not the Q&A. And so, yeah, so he canceled that, and he hasn't been back since. So that's too bad. But getting back to the positive, so there's the negative sandwich here. The positive, of course, Ewan McGregor is coming, and you can pay $40 to be guaranteed to get in. I paid that because Dom's panel is kind of ends an hour before that. So his second panel. So Saturday, because Dom's panel is Saturday at 4, and I believe, and so check out the Underworld socials for that. Don't quote me. Check out the Underworld socials. I will be there. Don't worry. But then Ewan McGregor Saturday at 6 in the main theater, and again, the big deal here for me at least is he's not on strike. When I went to New York Comic Con 2023, I saw him there, and I get it, right? He wants to make sure he's advocating for a fair deal for, like, he'd be fine either way, but fair deal for everyone else in the industry who's affected by the imbalance of power that studios held and probably still hold. But in New York Comic Con, all he talked about was tea and motorcycles through Central Park, which was interesting, I guess. But here I want to talk about Star Wars. We want to talk about Star Wars. So yeah, he's gonna talk about Revenge of the Sith at 20. Hopefully, he's gonna talk about other things he's been in, I'm sure.
I think we'll talk about Kenobi, the show with the stars. And
well, there's that one too. But, Revenge of the Sith at 20, Joel. It's the only thing that matters. No, yeah, talk about Kenobi. I'm sure it'd be fun. It would be amazing. I'm just imagining Hayden just coming out.
I don't know what he's doing. I just don't assume he's in the UK. He might be done. I'm assuming they're wrapping up soon.
So that's exciting. I don't know, Joel. What do you think? What do you think about John Boyega doing an appearance here? I don't know if he's done many of these, but yeah.
I know he hasn't done anything big. I want to say he's done some smaller cons.
Yeah,
and that'll be fun. I'll be curious to see what he's got to say. If he's got any beans to spill or whatnot. Don't you think juicy? I always say something juicy. That'll be fun to. And of course, Ewan McGregor. That's always a blast. See what he talks about. Probably Revenge of the Sith, little Kenobi. Maybe we can get him to slip up and say what his wife Paris and Dula is up to.
Yeah, there we go.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Keep saying he's not in Ahsoka. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not trusting it. I'm not trusting it. I mean, I would be shocked. Would you honestly be shocked if he showed up in Ahsoka season 2? Like,
I mean, you were just half joking about Mortis flashbacks. You were half joking.
Yeah, I mean, would you like? You can say it all I want, but like, would you be shocked if he went in? I wouldn't. I'd be like, oh yeah.
It would make sense.
Actually. Like when Liam Neeson kept saying, "Oh, I'm not in Kenobi. I didn't even know there's a thing," and then, "Oh, he's in the end." And be like,
they didn't know the show was happening.
And then it's like, hey,
I mean, he probably still didn't know the show was happening, even though he was in it.
It's possible. So
yeah.
I would you be surprised? No, but yeah. I mean, that's gonna be those two are gonna be fun to have.
Yeah. So I just saw Naked Gun.
Oh, nice.
With Liam Neeson. It's ridiculous. It's bonkers. It's a little too much, but it's bonkers. I need to watch the first one. Yeah. Liam Neeson knows does Liam Neeson know he was in Star Wars? That'd be a fun thing to ask.
Good question.
So there we go. So those are the main screen celebs. From what I can tell from the schedule. So hopefully I'll gotta get my schedule planned and all that, and looking forward to reporting back. I'll definitely report back, snap some photos, panels, and different things that I can, and all the Star Wars stuff I'll send down to Ben for him to post. From on the main thing, and probably also some culture slate. Check that too. So moving on to paper creatives, and this is always, I mean, for me, maybe a little more interesting, both because you can go and you can specifically, well, the main reason it's interesting is you can go right up to them in Comic Alley. It's not as big as Artist Alley in New York, but does get fair share. So we got Jason Aaron there. He's doing a Superman comic panel, by the way. Marco Cicchetto and David Messina, both artists. They're doing an Ultimate Marvel panel, also on Saturday. John Tyler Christopher, who's the action figure variants guy, he's always there. He's doing a comics covers panel. You know the action figure variants with the
Right.
the action figures. Um, with the action figures, yes. So he's doing a comics cover panel also on Saturday. Lastly, also Saturday, full comics day. It's gonna be great. Mike Del Mundo, Toronto's on Mike Del Mundo. Again, he's always there. Comic Explosion. This is this fun event Saturday night. Um, I mean, it's probably your mileage may vary, but cons can be kind of nuts, especially after parties. This is the chillest after party. It's comic authors drawing right in front of you, like they're standing around in a hall basically, and they paint and then they sell it for auction for charity, I think, and so or something like that. So Comic Explosion, that's at the Rec Room on Saturday at 7:30. So yeah, check that out. I'm gonna go right there after Ewan McGregor. Maybe get some food first. Who knows? Ken Lashley, he's done some Star Wars variants. Adam Gorham, who drew for Darth Vader. Dave McCaig, I believe he did some Legends stuff. And Toronto's own Steve McNiven, who, of course, Charles Soule's big collaborator. He's doing a panel same time as our panel, but that's okay. He's doing one, I think it's on Daredevil and X-Men and things like that, because he's also doing Charles Soule's Daredevil, his Cold Day in Hell comic, which I've meant to pick up, so I'll pick it up at Fan Expo. Looking forward to that. As mentioned, Ethan Sachs and Paulo Villanelli, they'll be there. Ethan, of course, an author. He was at Montreal Comic Con too, and so he's gets around this year country sometimes, even though he lives in New York. Paulo Villanelli, Italian artist. He did Bounty Hunters. He's on a few Star Wars things, and so yeah. And Ethan's also doing a writing for comics panel on Sunday, so please do check that out. And yeah, it'll be. I might check that out, so it'll be fun. So he'll be doubling up the panels there for Ethan. It's gonna be a good time. Last but not least, we get a drum roll. Tim Zahn is coming to Fan Expo Canada. I've never seen him at he was at San Diego. He's doing his own panel. So get this. So our panel was scheduled for Friday at 4, or Friday at 3:30. And I thought, you know what? That might conflict with Tim Zahn. I want to see Tim Zahn's panel. That's Friday at 4 in room 713. And that's going to be moderated by Heather Antos. So she's going to talk about Star Wars again, because, why not? She knows her Star Wars. So yeah, Tim Zahn coming to Fan Expo Canada. That'll be a good one. Yeah, and my mom will get to meet him. That'll be good. She's listened to the main Thrawn trilogy, the canon Thrawn trilogy. At least the first one, I don't know. But yeah, we can talk about, maybe he'll talk about Rebels and things like that. So and that's the first time I've seen Tim Zahn in a panel. So that'll be interesting too. So definitely looking forward to that. Probably, you heard it here first, probably just grab my phone, grab my mic, and be like, go up to people and, hey, can I ask you some questions? As I usually do these days. Yeah, and looking forward to, it is weird. I haven't been to a major con in July. It's the first time I went to a major con in July. It was pretty major, called San Diego Comic Con. And so this weird quick turnaround to my hometown con a month later. And it's going to be, in fact, it used to seem more intense, but after doing San Diego, this is going to feel chill and relaxed. So, looking forward to seeing the sites, hopefully not buying too much merch. Not spending too much on merch. But yeah, any of these names stand out to you? I'm guessing Tim Zahn stands out to you.
It's always fun to have Tim Zahn at a convention.
Yeah.
He's done so many.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't ask him if he knows anything about Ahsoka. Apparently, he gets annoyed when people ask him that.
Yes. Well, what Chris wants me to ask about is the Thrawn Alliance's comic, and if Jody Houser is okay, and all that, because that was cut short. They didn't finish the story, because that's the weird thing. We have the story in the novel, but the comic goes only about maybe 2/3 of the way through the story. And I suspect it's because Jodie Hauser had some health concerns, and so they just couldn't finish it. But here's hoping. Here's hoping they finish it. Here's hoping maybe if I asked him off the record what happened, he'll be able to tell me. So
Nice. Good
yeah,
luck.
yeah. It's just an interesting thing that happened, you know. And I wish I had thought of asking him in San Diego, but that's okay. Yeah, really intrigued to hear what he has to say for 45 minutes or whatever, how long that'll be. So yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, that's most of Fan Expo Canada. Let's see. Find the info for Dom's panel if I can find it. Dom's panel is plural. Star Wars, The Untold Stories. That is in Theater 5, so that's room 709. That's Friday at 10:30 a.m. And so talking about abandoned concepts from original trilogy, unmade live action sequence. I think Dom's talked about it on the flagship podcast and social media and whatnot. So yeah, so that's gonna be fun. There we go. And then panel Saturday afternoon. If I can find it. So I'm just looking at the schedule now. This is like what's it called? This is like on How I Met Your Mother, the guy who reads the newspaper. uh let's see. Celebrating Star Wars. Where is it? Anyway, check the social media. For here we go. I found it. It's 4:15 in Theater 5, room 709. So yeah, so the Untold Stories, that's gonna be a solo panel celebrating Star Wars. He's getting a fun group to chat about all things Jedi, Sith, Rebel, Imperial, Bounty Hunter, and beyond. So yeah, that he did something similar was it last year? And yeah, that went really well. So he's bringing that one back. So looking forward to that. There is interesting the 5 so used to be, and this is another nice thing, is that means there's 3 fan like podcast or fan panels for Star Wars that got approved. Usually they do let the 501st have a panel, let Rebel Legion have a panel, maybe Mandalorian Mercs have a panel. Those have been usually just kind of slideshow commercials for, hey, join us, this is what we do. But they're combining those, which meant more time in the schedule for us, which is great. And yeah, so I'm pretty satisfied. Remember one year, it might have been Toronto Comic-Con or something, one year all the Star Wars guests canceled. There was just no Star Wars at all. In yeah, there's no Star Wars at all in one of these cons. At least no Star Wars programming. And I'm like, that's weird, especially given how important. I mean, this was I guess slightly after the sequel trilogy, but yeah, and no, I got Ewan McGregor and John Boyega and Ash Mothma and yeah, some folks. So yeah, looking forward to that. I don't know if there's any too much more to say. Anything, maybe this thing, maybe with Tim's on, anything you're curious that he talks about other than not talking about Ahsoka?
I don't know. I feel like Tim's on one of those characters. I feel like he's told all the stories at least once.
Yeah.
Like how he got into Star Wars, wow, we would, a lot of the original, a lot of the process in writing that first book back in 91. I feel like a lot of that's already been covered. So I don't know. I don't really have much to say. Maybe he'll hint about if he wants to do another book trilogy or not. He haven't written for Star Wars in a couple of years.
Yeah, that's true. William Shatner is going to be there. A whole bunch of, like I mentioned, Haley Steinfeld. Yeah, so look, we get them coming up. There's gaming, a lot of gaming, more gaming than I'm used to seeing, which is good. Free play chess in the Friendiverse. Why not? So, and portfolio reviews. I didn't know there's industry portfolio reviews. So, if you're an artist or an author, why not? Also, here's an interesting one. Forgot to mention this one. Walmart presents Hasbro Marvel Star Wars. I don't know why Walmart is doing this. I mean, they do sell some Legends and Black Series, but anyway,
Walmart. We're
with me
just
is
evil. Walmart.
so this is Saturday at 10:45 in Theater 3 701A. So yeah, I mean they're okay. I mean Black Series I think has made a comeback. They're probably going to talk about that gunship, which you know, if they gave more, that's the thing with the gunship. Just this random thoughts here. If they add more perks to the gunship, it's just the two phase one clones for now. I think the idea is that you can build up the whole battle of Geonosis, but
Okay.
I mean, at least it's a prequel HasLab, and I'm still complaining because I still don't want to pay the whatever 500 Canadian for it, but
500 Canadian.
something like that. I don't know how much it would cost. So, but yeah, so I guess that's it. I mean, that's big Smallville panel. All the Smallville actors they're coming up. Yeah, so it should be a fun time. It should be a good time. Of course, the thing I say about cons, the most important thing is the friends you make along the way. I know that's a cheesy line, but it'd be good to hang out with some folks. I know figuring Dan Johnson's coming in. So yeah, it'll be a good time. Good time
William
to
Shatner there. It's not a con. It's a con.
well done. Well done. That was good.
Con.
There you go. So oddly enough, no Strange New Worlds or any of that, even though it's filming literally half an hour away, filming in suburb Mississauga, just half an hour on the highway. You never know. So sometimes. Anyway, I guess are they filming it? I guess they're filming season 4. At least they're airing. Season 3 is airing now. So anyway, yeah. So that's Fan Expo Canada. It's on its way. I'm looking forward to having a fun, relaxing time. Unlike San Diego Comic Con, which was still fun but not relaxing.
I figure you
So
don't
yeah,
have to be in a hotel. You can just drive home after you're done.
that's true. Although a hotel in San Diego would have been relaxing. It was in a hostel. That's true. I can just come home, stay in my own bed, be in my own city, all that stuff. So there we go.
Easier when it's close to you.
So what'd you say?
It's
What was that?
easier when it's close to you. Ain't it?
Yeah, it is. It is easier to just take the train home and all that. So yeah, I'm driving both twice 2 days. So anyway, random things we chatted about here tonight. There we go. Speaking of random things, I've gabbed a bunch. Let's dive into this again. I've never done this kind of grab bag before, but we got an hour and a half left in our normal 2 hour. If we don't have to go whole time, but we just might. You never know.
Well, I can
Knowing
probably get us
us.
there because of what I've been thinking about for the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
So
I
go
okay,
for it.
I still have been pondering the whole myth and propaganda question.
Mm.
That stuck with me. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just maybe I just don't like the phrasing. Maybe it is intent because I'm like, well, let's not act as if artists and governments are always not aligned with each other. I mean, it's like,
True.
in evil Germany, 1933 to 1945. I mean, sure, there were dissidents, there always are. But there
Mhm.
were a lot of German artists who were like, yeah, mustache man. He knows what's going on. We're all for him 100%. Some of the Triumphs of Deville, which is the infamous World War II
Mhm.
Nazi Germany film, was responsible for for a lot of modern directing techniques that we actually use today in Hollywood.
Really?
Oh yeah, lots of German cinema is actually during that time was very technologically innovative at the time, and it was used to make propaganda for
Mhm.
the government. And the directors and artists were all on board.
Mhm.
Or at least the people who made it. Yeah, which is stuff we use to this day.
Interesting.
So I feel like we have to we can't act as if artists
Yeah.
and the government and the powers that be are always not aligned. There's that one thing. It's not like today where they probably will just use AI. We're getting there. But
we're there already, Joel. We're there already.
Back then, you had to work to get your artist to decide what you had to do something. There's that. Then there's like a video I watched about how the CIA funded a bunch of what was the extra, the art where it's just a bunch of squiggly lines on the painting. It's like someone just dumped a bunch of paint on the existentialist art or something like that. Or like so like some of that art foundational stuff had CIA backing just because we wanted to show the Soviets that we were better than them.
I've seen worse.
It's the weird squiggly line paints and whatnot.
CIA has done worse.
There's that, and CIA funded a bunch of stuff. And then I go back to Shakespeare. A lot of those historical plays Shakespeare wrote were borderline propaganda for Queen Elizabeth I, because they were always making her reign look good, and the previous kings all look like a bunch of idiots or monsters or both. So yet we see a lot of those historical plays as works of art. So and myths, and they are perpetrating the myths of the Elizabethan reign. She took over from the previous Tudors. No, wait, I don't think they were the Tudors. Whoever the family was before Elizabeth I.
Well, Elizabeth was a Tudor.
Oh yeah, so not the Tudors, the previous household or whoever.
Right.
Her uncle or something like that.
Yorks, the Lannisters.
The Yorks. Yeah, the Lannisters. Yeah, the Great Joy.
Lancasters, not Lannisters and Storks.
The Starks. Yeah, the Targaryens. Remember how the British ruled the Targaryens? And colonized Canada. But again, myths. I mean, heck, use Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is all about like the founding myths that keep the whole country together. And what do we do when we, Littlefinger? What do we do when we abandon the lie of Aegon's throne? That's 1,000 pieces. It's like, it's not 1,000 pieces. It's more like 100. So I kind of question the phrasing of art and propaganda, because in some way. A myth and propaganda. He didn't say art; he said myth.
Because
in some ways, what are the myths that that we as a collective make and the powers that be use? I mean, there has to always be some buy-in from a large majority, and to circle back to Star Wars. There we go. What was the myth that Palpatine tried to create, and a lot of people bought in when forming the Empire? It's, hey, I won the Clone Wars, and I got rid of those Jedi who started it all. I won a new empire, everybody. It's going to be great. We're going to love it. Of course, that myth collapsed in 25 years. But even we see in The Mandalorian, in Ahsoka, when the sequels, people still buy into the myths of what the Clone Wars were all about, and what obviously the myths that Palpatine won the war. I did it. So I once again question that phrasing, and I don't know if it just maybe it's too modern for my taste. Maybe it's too much of a myth and propaganda, or too 20th century viewpoints of what is kind of historically always been similar vibes. For statecraft, because all statecraft just starts with the myths.
So here's the problem with trying to make a very pithy statement is that you got folks like Joel coming along and saying, well, wait a minute, that does literally make sense. Isn't literally true. I don't think he necessarily denies anything you were saying. I don't think Del Toro would deny anything you were saying. When he says myth unites, propaganda divides, I think he was, in the context, he was saying, him and George were talking about how story, maybe can parse this out more. Stories that are intended to show people, it's almost a tautology, right?
Tautology.
And what I mean by that is, unifying stories unite, dividing stories divide, is basically what he's saying. And that he defines myth in the sense of stories that can ground a culture, stories that can ground a political community, or I mean, he kind of attacks this, but I would say stories that can ground a religious community. He, you know, what he goes against are stories that used by maybe religious authorities to divide and hold on to power. But I'd say that's also simplistic. But also, is a thing that happens as well. Won't deny that either.
I mean, that's the World War II myth of, hey, we were a great nation of Germany, and then got stabbed in the back, and some Jewish bankers did some stuff with the West, and I, Mr. Mustache Man, are going to make Germany great and move us forward, and blah 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 blah. In the Slavs,
make Germany great again. Do you know the Mustache Man? The Mustache Man.
The Mustache Man. The Mustache
anyway.
Man who lives in Austria. Hey,
he's from Austria. Yeah, very stabby statement. So yeah, I mean, I wonder if part of the strategy there is actually to push our conception of art or our appreciation of art, or the strategy for the museum is to put our appreciation for art and the standards and expectations we have on popular art in the direction of inclusive collective meaning making, right? Inclusive collective meaning making. That's, again, he mentioned how comics were the first time, Captain America was the one to punch the Mustache Man. Remember, he like that. So the inclusive bit, but here's the thing though, and I'm interrupting myself, but to say, to us, inclusive meaning making is wholesome, healthful, good for society myth, whereas I know folks who would say woke propaganda, and we'd say, okay, we'd say that's silly and reductive, but they experience that as divisive, oddly enough. Now, because they're setting themselves on the outside of it and need to be open to, here's the religious term, a conversion experience. I mean, that's the thing, is art that can conversion experience. What I mean by that, where's my theology time? Did I get rid of that?
I hope we didn't. I don't think so.
I think I might have lost that, but anyway. It's okay. Theology. Sorry, Daisy. Sorry. Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man. He lives on Derby Lane. There you go.
I know.
Anyway, what was I saying? Something about conversion experience. I mean, to seeing the perspective of another, and to seeing the perspective of, and our common perspective, and someone who we tend to divide for ourselves from, say, oh yeah, we have this humanity in common. And so, I mean, I get what you mean in terms of if he just got up there, if Del Toro just got up there and said, myth unites, propaganda divides, and went and sat back down, and then left Doug Chiang to talk about Starfighter designs or something, then okay, I get what you mean there. But no, he didn't. He said more about about picking up what George was saying about the common inclusive meaning making versus he was referring to political rhetoric that is specifically, I mean, that's the thing, that's the interesting thing, you brought up the Tudors, in that whole era, because again, there's also a whole theology time I can bring up with that, which I will in a second. But political rhetoric that stokes on fears and on anxieties, and that give rise to
World War
hatred.
II for you. That's World War II.
But that's, I mean, that's everything since and everything before, right? That's how he defines propaganda. And so, that's what I mean. It is a tautology of divisive art divides, uniting art unites. But Uh, it is interesting though. Here's the thing: political art can be either unifying or dividing, and so that's
I think
where
all
maybe
art's kind of political to some extent too.
well everything's political, but explicitly. So again, theology time. I mean, one of the origins of my church, the Anglican Communion, the Church of England, was after the War of the Roses, the Lancasters and the Yorks, not that George R. R. Martin then made up fake names for. Anyway, I guess after that, the Tudors were all, oh no, we gotta find a way to unite this country, or else we'll have another war, which they did end up having in the 1660s, anyways.
Whoops.
But yeah, the Civil War, but um so it did fall apart. But the attempt was through having the church services in English and having, I mean, a separate structure away from Rome, uh saying we're the English church, trying to there's you can say, well, that's divisive away from Rome and into the power of the crown. You could also say, oh, it's unifying, trying to bring everyone together literally on the same page, literally. And it's English poetry, it's poetic, and the music that gets set to it, and that other common people can sing as well. I mean, that was Luther in German. His whole idea was that people would sing together and not just the choir up front. And so, and that's the thing is, I mean, I'm saying it's religious art, but with a political purpose, not like the two are that distinct, right? The idea of distinguishing those two is very 20th century idea, 19th century idea. So that's maybe this is kind of what I'm getting at again is Del Toro wasn't saying that political art, that fantasy unites and political art divides. He was saying they're both political art because all art can be political art. It's we have we have had maybe it's almost this going back and saying, let's recapture this practice of myth making, but for a more inclusive 21st century. You know, in contrast to the divisive propagation of certain interests that use fear and hatred and suspicion.
I
To
will.
say,
I will
why are people
say.
taking our jobs, and let's send them to Alligator Alcatraz. That's fine. Let's not have an election, presidential election, 3.5 years. So yeah, that's what he's getting at.
I will say, it is interesting thinking about myths in terms of statecraft as well and system building, and how. I mean, obviously, not every myth creates a democratic system. I mean, how long was the Roman Empire around? 1,000 years? Maybe not 1,000, but well, I mean, depending on when we count the end, right? Like, do we count Byzantium or do we not? I don't know. Did it ever end? That's the real question. I know Romanologist. I know we like debate that stuff, but my point is, some civilizations, political leaders, they make myth, and that myth can create a system that lasts. Gosh, a couple hundred years, a couple centuries. Others, they only last a couple decades. And I find that also really interesting. I think, weirdly enough, I think of High Republic, kind of the ending of Trial of the Jedi, where Lena's still like, the Nile made another story. I tried to make another story, didn't work, but definitely punctured the story of the Republic, and we're gonna see that effect in a couple hundred years. But you gotta say, it's still a pretty strong story the Republic had that lasted that long. It did. That's no small feat. Empire only lasted 30 years with Palpatine's story. Because Palpatine's not a very good storyteller. But I do again. I think we can't necessarily say like, oh, the Smith creates democracy. Again, the Roman Empire after Augustus that lasted several more centuries. wasn't the same dynasty, but it was certainly the same political system. Um, China's still the same political system today. Heck, they had like an absolute bureaucratic empire for centuries, even under different dynasties. Well, even
Mhm.
when the first Chinese emperor died and went nuts,
Yeah.
they had some warlord areas, but they reunite. They always reunite. They always reunite eventually. That's
Mhm.
the big miss of China: always united, then divides. Um, so I just think that's maybe that's Palpatine's biggest flaw. He tried to make a mess around himself.
Yeah.
When he should have made something a little bit more grander. So even when he's dead, which he never planned to do, would die anyway. So that's another problem. The
Yeah.
empire, the political system, could have lasted. Which I always try to think about in my kind of
Mhm.
want to apply real world history to Star Wars, which is never a good thing to do. Where I'm always asking myself, like, okay, empires can outlast their original emperor for quite a while. Some can, others can't, like in
Right.
France. So I'm like, well, what could the
Old
empire have
mustache
done?
man
Or
didn't
mustache
outlast
man.
the mustache
Yeah, it
man.
didn't last the last mustache man.
Mhm.
Soviet mustache man that lasted 10 for 50 years.
Oh yeah.
Um, so it's like, well, why can these systems outlast their founders and the others can't? And that's always kind
Yeah.
of like my big question as well. And there's probably way more reasons than simple
Mhm.
morality and whatnot. But I think that's interesting. I think
Yeah.
mythmaking plays a part of that too.
I mean, was the Soviet Union, um, like with Stalin, was that a cult of personality in the same way?
Not really. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah. Kind of my
definitely
point.
if anything, he was like, he was Donald was like, I'm just continuing Lenin was doing, and I'm a good old Marxist at
Or
heart.
with
So
Lenin, was like with Lenin, was it a cult of personality?
I think no, he was against that kind of stuff. He didn't even want a
Yeah.
big burial. He was like, I'm just a Marxist dude.
Yeah.
I'm just
So I mean, that's my point. Is I mean, the Nazis, it was a Hitler cult of personality. Um, so that's, I think that leads to the answer, right? They lacked the empire. At least those who were in charge. I mean, and Chuck Wendig goes into how uh kind of this was Palpatine's. I mean, his contingency
that's true.
was to say
Yeah,
this is going to be cult of personality or else
yeah,
or
pretty
else
much.
nothing. Wipe the board, Gallius. Wipe the board.
Like,
And then figure out a way to get me back. I guess Chuck
like,
Wendig didn't know that yet, but uh, yeah.
I have plans.
So yeah, yeah,
So yeah, so that's been racking my brain
yeah.
for
I mean,
a
I still
little
want
bit.
to think about unifying myth. I mean, that's why the qualifier inclusive, right? Inclusive democratic unity. Because I mean, whatever you want to say about Palpatine, he did bring some semblance of unity to the galaxy.
For like a
you know,
couple years before he's gone.
you know. So it was the Soviet Union. They were very unified
I mean,
in that
when
union of Soviet Socialist republics.
I mean,
Yeah,
people unioned around the fact that the king gets to be king because the divine right of God.
yeah,
We
yeah.
believe we
And
and the
that's a
Pope
myth, right?
and the Pope
Yeah,
gets to say stuff because he's the Pope and God says
yeah,
so.
yeah.
To this day, if you're a Catholic, you still
Yeah,
believe that you're the Pope that God chose you.
yes. It's complicated, but yes.
It's
um,
complicated. The
every,
conclave works in mysterious ways.
it does sort of.
I
Yes.
watched.
Um, yeah. So that's the thing, is not all unity can be democratic. It'd still be unity unless we do. I mean, we can define democratic more broadly, right? I mean, we have to. It has to be more. We have to understand it more in more a participatory democracy that is more unifying than a representative democracy, I'd say. So,
That is true.
um, yeah, but yeah, sure. I mean, that's in those 45 minutes when talking about art, they weren't able also to be as specific about what unity means, except to say, again, the recognizing common humanity, recognizing the presuppositions of our own culture and our own society, imagining ourselves as a society. And by imagining, I don't mean the same thing by myth. I don't mean, oh, it's mythical, it's fake. By imagining, I don't mean it's fake. I mean, we actually consider ourselves to be one society. We consider ourselves to be one country. Um,
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
yeah, there's there's the myth. So yeah, it was a powerful myth for some people.
Well, that might lead into your little
Yeah.
grab bag, which I'm noticing in the notes. You want to talk about the founding of the penultimate Star Wars government, which apparently lasted 25,000 years, if you believe the timeline book. The Galactic Republic. How that happened?
Well, no. Well, maybe interestingly, I mean, so it kind of relates to a lot of what you were saying about. So I got some help. Don't tell Guillermo. I asked ChatGPT to help jog my mind about this, but about the fall of the Republic, and it kind of prompted me to address this question. Was it because, and it was very simplistic the way it formulates it, but it happened because of corruption? Like, is Palpatine, maybe is Palpatine the main architect of the Republic's demise, or was it already on its way? And did it happen because of corruption that Palpatine tugged the strings on, or a loss of shared faith in its institutions and ideals, in its myths and narrative, and its institution, both the Senate and the Jedi, the sense of a common galactic society, which is odd to think of because we don't even think of a common planetary society, and yet here they're saying, okay, planets are so far away from each other. I mean, there's hyperspace, there's telecommunications, all that, a common galactic society, and it came down to really sense of chicken and egg. Like you said, he tried to tell a different story that I mean, here's the thing. I would love someone to write some fan fiction of a debate between Lena So and Chief Palpatine.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
And
I don't know if that would be, although I have to feel like Palpatine's not going to argue in good faith or just be all evil.
Or maybe not a debate, maybe no. A debate between an adherent, someone who agrees with what Lena So was doing, and someone who agrees with what Palpatine was doing. And because that's the thing is, Lena So, the story she tells, is this inclusive myth. We are all the Republic. And like you said, Markian Rowe tries to say, no, wait a minute, we sure aren't. The hell with that.
And then he gave up and just like, I'm just gonna blow everything up anyway.
Yeah, he gave up. But I mean, he tried to tell himself this myth of I want to be the only important person that matters. Cult of personality. He had a 1% cult of personality. Kind of. Gira Starro says, no thanks. I'm done with that too. But the question really presses, the point that George was making in Hall H a few weeks ago, and in this trilogy 20 years ago. Democracies rise and fall in our sense of the we, in our sense of do we actually come together, and do my choices do I have a sense that my choices impact you, your choices impact me, do and even the facts that we share between us, right? I mean, that's the wild thing. I've been thinking about this again, thinking about Mon Mothma's speech in Acolyte, because the script for that episode is on
Andor?
Yeah, right.
Acolyte.
There's another thing about shared narratives and misfact. Andor.
Andor.
Mon Mothma speech. They both start with an A.
That's true.
A short
lots of Star Wars start with an A. Ahsoka, Andor, Acolyte.
A New Hope.
A New Hope.
Attack of the Clones. Sorry. We're getting away from ourselves. that here's the interesting thing. We're coming back to a place of needing to have respect for shared facts, because even that's in question now, right? That Mom Mothma says, I forget what the line is, but the great casualties of the truth, and so, I mean, that's an interesting thing too. Maybe thinking about Del Toro, myths are not threatened by facts, right? Myths can or don't have need not be threatened by facts. They can still be unifying and inclusive and support the common acceptance of facts. So, I mean, the example I have is, say we interpret the creation myth in the Bible as a myth, and say we interpret it as an inclusive story, that everything has dignity and purpose and is interconnected and interrelated. Okay, well, so oddly enough, this guy Darwin comes along and says, well, the facts don't say this is how it happened. Some small offshoots say, okay, well, no, we're going to double down and say, no, this is how it happened. But interestingly enough, a lot of Christians don't believe in literal creationism. They think, okay, sure, the Big Bang, that's how it happened. That's great. Whereas, I was going to try and give an example. Anything Trump says is threatened by facts, right? Even, or even people were criticizing, people said Mark Carney, he's supporting genocide because he's funding, the Canadian government's funding the IDF. That's possibly true. I saw on Facebook someone saying he's supporting the murder of Israelis because he's acknowledging the state of Palestine and therefore giving it to Hamas. We don't have that common sense of facts anymore, and that's the fascinating thing we're coming around to. Maybe this is my thought. Is that the fall of the Republic happened? I mean, corruption is an obfuscation of facts, and division is an obfuscation of meaning, and authoritarianism relies on both. Maybe that's the lesson of the prequels. It relies on both a blurring of facts and a blurring of meaning. And one way to do that is to say my meaning contradicts your facts, and therefore you can't be factual. Whereas, what if my meaning doesn't contradict your facts? What if we can find a way to harmonize or disagree, or I have to change my sense of meaning, right? What if, talking to someone who's a minority, what if my meaning as an able-bodied white man causes someone else harm, and that's a fact? Now, in my existence doesn't, but my privilege might. What if finding meaning in that privilege? People, I can't go and deny those facts. I have to renegotiate the meaning. And maybe that's the thing, is that's really hard to do, and we need art to help us do it. And we need ideals to help us do it. We need art to communicate our ideals and our values, and to train us and teach us in values, right? That's the thing. I mentioned my origin, my fandom geekdom origin story, watching TNG when I'm 2 years old, because I'm seeing this utopian federation and seeing Picard be this amazing, wise, moderate leader, like moderate temperament leader, and say, oh, I guess that's how you run a ship, literally and otherwise. And so, yeah.
Well, here's the question: does
yeah.
art reflect society, or should society reflect art? Is the real question. Wait, that doesn't make sense.
Does art reflect society, or should society reflect art?
Wait, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess I mean,
Should
I guess.
society be formed by art?
Oh, that's probably a better example. Or should art be formed by society? There's a chicken egg question for you, right?
And the answer is chicken egg, right? It's
Exactly.
this,
You
and
know.
again, this is what the museum I think is trying to do. This is why George is all, I can't hoard this collection I have. I'm not going to sell it. I don't care about that. I don't care about the money. I want to share this collection with people. So yeah,
Well, here's the scary part of democracy, right?
yeah.
You show that art, and like, what if like the majority of people reject it? There's a question. Again, I
Mhm.
think about Germany in the
Yeah.
30s. Everyone acts as if Mr. Mustache Man was some minority. And eventually, most people got on board. I mean, there was definitely an opposition, but it's like, by there was a
Yeah.
there was he was popular. People act as if Putin
Mhm.
some is like an unpopular dictator who keeps the people in line with his fists. And there's
Mhm.
some fisting going on. There's never no doubt about that. But his high approval ratings are pretty legit.
Yeah.
To a lot of Russians, he's the guy who got us out of the terrible 90s. If you lived in Russia in the 90s, ooh, you did not want to live in Russia in the
Right.
90s. Trust me. Oh, it was bad.
Yeah.
Like it was bad. So there's the democratic aspect of it when it's like, you know, society decides, you know what,
Mhm.
we're gonna do it. We're just gonna take this path down. We're
Mhm.
gonna we as a society reject Star Trek or something like that. I don't know.
Or the
Yeah,
ideals of Star Trek,
or the ideals of Star
or
Trek,
misinterpret and say, "Oh, Star Trek's gone woke now."
or
you
that
know.
too. Which thankfully this is where I am not a big worrier of Trump because he is unpopular and he always gets unpopular really quick. Like he never
Yeah.
gets past 50%. And then he just goes downhill because everyone else it just sucks more. So even right now he got like 30% approval ratings.
Mhm.
Um so it's not I feel like society doesn't appreciate does reject Trump. It's just our political system's so rigged. Like doesn't reflect the majority, but that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
Um but societies can do that. It's like, well, ooh, shoot, what do we do? Then I guess it's sort of like, well, you gotta
Mhm.
hope that you have a strong minority of people fighting against it. Which is again, you know, for a long time we always think of, well, here we go, we're going back to Star Wars here.
What is this, a Star Wars podcast?
I know,
Sorry.
right? If for a while if the majority myth of Star Wars for the Dark Times was Palpatine won the Clone Wars, then the people challenging those myths are the heroes. They are the Jedi remnants and the Republic remnants and the rebels to be
The Rebel Alliance. Yeah.
who are trying to reject who are who I'm talking who are rejecting that myth and trying to
Mhm.
make a new myth that becomes the new majority myth that we all tell themselves, and then they win for a little bit, and
Mhm.
then it gets a little more complicated because the First Order doesn't really take over in like a majority sense. They just kind of blindside everybody, and then they just force
Yeah.
themselves, and then they get rejected like a year later. Um, so it gets a
Mhm.
little weird. So I guess the First Order didn't really work hard on making their myth so much. It's like, screw it, we're gonna take over anyway. We don't care what you think, and they
Mhm.
get their butt handed to them. But to go back to my original point, you know, eh, sometimes the I don't want to say the evil myths. I mean, I guess you want to be more realistic about the evil myth in Star Wars wins the day, and then the little
Mm.
light myth is the one that's trying to push through and hopefully one day win the majority over.
Yeah. Um. I mean, going back to,
Mm.
yeah, I guess the cyclical nature of it, sure, but also, okay, democracy, the people you disagree with, they can win. I mean, that's only concern on the procedural level, and then maybe that's part of the problem is we've reduced our political ideals to individual rights, and that the only sense of we is, do we have these procedures in place in order to ensure fairness? And then yeah, that is important. Justice is important, but yeah, it's limited. And that's again coming back to the power of art is, how do you how do you build a majority coalition of of not just in Congress or in Parliament or whatever? How do you build a majority in society through soft power? And because that's the thing, Trump is trying hard power, Putin used some hard power, but he used a lot of soft power, but
And oil
also
money. A lot
and
of
oil money, but also that's kind of hard power, I guess. But the idea of the European Union, right? I mean, there's a cultural,
The fact that NATO is trying to take over the former Soviet Union. That's the myth. That's the myth he's trying to say.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
But the idea of the EU, it really tapped into and fostered the sense of all this cultural heritage and musical heritage and art and painting, and acknowledging the negatives, the downsides of it, the powers of colonialism, to say, okay, let's come together. I mean, again, that's the thing. Artists are incredibly powerful. We can't downplay that. I mean, it's why governments try propaganda, why propaganda exists, for good and bad.
Governments hire artists. There are artists who are on their side.
Yeah. Like you're talking about the CIA thing, or even a benign example, the Canadian Ministry of Heritage has grants and funding for Canadian artists to just build up the capacity here in Canada, as opposed to they would go down south. They would go south of the border, because it's called the brain drain that E.K. Johnston talks about writes about in one of the Queen's Hope, I want to say, where they all go from this other planet to Naboo because there's more money there, these artists. And artists probably go from Naboo to Coruscant or to Gorman or wherever, because there's more money there and more opportunities. So, there's this more benign sense of government saying, we want to increase our artistic vitality, and so we're going to help fund you. You got to apply for the grant and all that, obviously, but there's a grant for it. The people who win the grant because they have deserved talent and whatnot, or potential, and arts training and things like that. So the point being, yes, in a democracy, people you disagree with, they can win an election. But if you want more people to agree with you, make good art about it. I know it's not the only answer, but I mean, it's also get slick marketing and whatnot, and try and get good campaign donations. But here's another thing. I found an Instagram account that looks at the financial integrity of politicians, of members of Congress, and how many PAC contributions there are, how many individual donors, small individual donations and large individual donations, and their investment portfolio and all that thing, and here's the thing about looking at the facts. Well, here's this factual story of the cleanest, down-to-earth politicians, hopefully gonna have more appeal, because we're tapping into, I mean, the thing that Trump tapped into was this
he's a TV star. He knows how to market.
Yeah, well, he tapped into the skepticism. I mean, Obama did too, but a bit the skepticism of the Beltway insiders, right? But of course, he was lying. He is the ultimate insider. He just said a lot of things that weren't considered polite on the inside, and so he was able to paint himself as an outsider. But the real outsiders, like AOC, like even Bernie Sanders, he's been there a while, but he's kind of off to the side. Here's something they can hold up and say, and Obama did this too. He at least highlighted the fact that, I remember him in 2008. I remember him highlighting the fact that a lot of his campaign was funded by small individual donations. Obviously, there were PACs. Obviously, there were corporate donations there. Obviously, you can't win the presidency without them, but you can win a seat in Congress without it, and maybe build a campaign, build momentum from there. That is a story that people are in both their anger and in their hope. Well, if their anger, because they're hoping for someone who is like them, There's a reason AOC tells the story about being a waitress, tells her narrative about going from being a waitress to going to Congress. It happens to be factual, but it definitely taps into the sense of one of them is speaking to the inside. And what that does, it has the power to turn anger and skepticism against the system into hope that the system can change. And that's again the possibility there.
Yeah, I want to circle back to something we were talking about, to kind of your original question about the fall of the Republic. Because I got some answers. I don't have I don't have answers. I have some ideas. I have the answers. I'm the only one with the answers.
Obviously.
Of course exactly. I'm smart. I'm kidding. So I think this is kind of like a multi-pronged answer, multi-pronged thought, because it's sort of like how we want to approach this. I do think in like this, just the terms of the 6 movies, it's very Palpatine's the problem. We get rid of him, and then happily ever after they end. There's that. Get to a more expanded area, kind of fall, and then you get into this weird question because, like, decay of democracy or just a republic system. I'm not even gonna say democracy. Here's the real question: was the republic ever a democracy? Are republics democracies? There's the real question.
Well,
question:
they
was
can
Rome
be.
as a republic a democracy? There's the question. I think you're right. I think they can be. I actually would say that the answer is yes. For the
They can be democratic. Democratic, the adjective. Now in democracy, democracy and republic are the same word in Greek, in Latin. It's just democracy. Republic specifically is more a technical thing referring to lack of monarchy. But
to be fair, that's what the founders of the U.S. were thinking. They weren't thinking democracy. They were thinking, we just don't want a monarchy. We just want a republic. We don't want this king. We just want a republic. We don't care the Democratic Party, women, people of color. Thank you. Natives, forget that. You ain't citizens. That came later, way later. So there's the real question. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah. The fall, the decay of the republic systems. I think the answer is always yes. And by yes, I mean every problem just kind of happens at once. I was like learning about the fall of the late Bronze Age civilization. Like this is like the civilizations before Rome, even like Egypt and stuff like that. And it's like, well, what caused their fall? And the answer is kind of like just everything. Climate change, food shortages, wars, corruption, blah 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 blah. So kind of like everything just kind of all at once happening, which I think is kind of what you could say maybe happening with the Galactic Republic. Just sort of like everything just kind of all at once happening, and no one really could kind of do anything about it because it's kind of just all coming to you at once and just crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis. But then you get the kind of the weirder question of like, well, you got these 2 magic wizards also manipulating everything with their magic wizardry, well, with 100-year-old Mune and then Palpatine. So, what, like, let's say you do some weird Doctor Who time travel shenanigans, and you go back in time to say, let's go back to just before the Phantom Menace, and you take out Plagueis and Palpatine. They both explode. Rule of 2 over. Hooray! You kind of have to ask yourself, like, well, does that stop the decay? Does the decay just happen just slower? And if anything, Palpatine just kind of sped things up, like took like a very slow decline and just like, I'm just gonna ramp this up to 100 and just get it, and so we can get Empire quicker. That's a question, because I think, what if you eliminate Palpatine, then what happens? It's sort of like the question if you took out, Mr. Mustache Man, what happens? Now there is certain historical texts that by 1930 in the Depression, Germany was already on the path to becoming a conservative authoritarian state. It was just a matter of which faction would take over. Would it be like the old aristocratic military? Would it be these crazy brown shirt guys? And it was the brown shirt guys who won. So there was sort of a moment where it's like, oh, yeah, the Weimar Republic's dead. It's just more of a matter of. I mean, it was sort of the same with the Russian Revolution. It's like everyone always says it's the communists who overthrew the Tsar. That's not true. The first revolution that happened in February was actually more of a liberal bourgeois. We just don't want the Tsar anymore, guy. We want to modernize our country. And then it was more of a bunch of factions all came together, and then they fought among themselves, and then the Bolshevik kind of went out through various means, which are overly complicated. I won't get into. So I guess I guess it's sort of a question of, does the Republic inevitably fall, even if we just eliminate Palpatine? And if anything, we just kind of get rid of one faction of post-Republic galaxy, and it's like a new version takes over? Or is it like, I don't know? You could was it reversible? And who knows? I mean, this is you can't do you can't do alternate history in fiction because it's still fiction, compared to real life.
Yeah.
So it's like if we killed Caesar, would Rome Republic still fall, or was it, or were the systematic issues still there? It's like somebody else would have just done this, but just did differently. Which, to be fair, it was Augustus who founded the empire, not Julius. So that's not my long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean that's another great question. Would the Republic still have fallen for Palpatine? I mean, you can do alternate history. It's called Infinities, or it's called the Lego thing. But that's more for kids.
That's fair. I guess if we treat Star Wars like an actual history, we wanted to do like alternate, like counterfactuals.
Yeah, like I mean, I wish I still need to read Infinities. I might read that this year. The original
fun.
trilogy. I haven't read that one yet.
They're within happily.
Yeah. But they should do a prequel Infinities, like
I wish.
that very question, right? Like
fun.
what happens?
Like what one thing do you change to set up a whole bunch of other stuff?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, what if season 1, Marvel What If, was brilliant in that, because the actual change happens before the story itself, and season 2 was kind of a little simpler. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, well, here's what I will say is, you're talking about the history of the Soviet Union, the origins of the Soviet Union, makes me think. I mean, the American Revolution wasn't some egalitarian revolt against the monarchy. It was a liberal bourgeois revolt against aristocracy, right?
That's the French Revolution too, to some extent.
Yeah, but especially the American Revolution, it was the third sons of these wealthy landowners saying, if you want to tax me, give me a seat in Parliament. No problem. Just give me a seat in Parliament. I want to be
like her. Let's make the colonies and the motherland more integrated. There you go.
Yeah, make me an aristocrat or whatever. House of Lords or who knows what. But no, they didn't, and so they still taxed them. You want to take my money? Well, you want to take my money? You want to take the land that I own? Give me a seat in Parliament. So yeah, that. But that, and then how over time that myth of this great liberal enlightenment project. I mean, I'm trying to make sense of the conservative vision of the U.S. That, I mean, maybe it's the wealthy landowners. It's the wealthy landowner part as opposed to the liberty part. Maybe the wealthy landowner part was the one that always held sway. I mean, I think that seems to be the case. There are these shreds of the liberal inclusive part, but that's not inevitable,
Well, I'll use the French Revolution as kind of this example, because I think this is a better, because America's just weird. I think that's a little bit more of an interesting idea, because they have the French Revolution, right? And when the revolutionaries take over, you have the right and the left. What's the right? In the context of the French Revolution, the right we just want a constitutional monarchy like Britain, but we, the bourgeois, get to have a vote in Parliament. The monarchy's more of a figure. They can have some sway, but they gotta follow this constitution, respect our rights, let us make our
Mhm.
money, blah 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 blah. The left, quote unquote, although there is a bit of a social, is a more of a there is a little bit more of an egalitarian on that side, as well
Mhm.
as we want the king to or
Yeah,
just go away, or but they decide to go
yeah, and the church
um
should go away.
and the church to go away.
It's a big
Yeah,
piece of this too, right?
yeah, but yeah, that to go away. So I think I think it's kind of a weird thing of like, well, hey, when you have a revolution, you still have right and left. It's just now everything is just so swayed that way
Yeah.
that it's like there is no like there. What conservative in America? Like as much as we talk about conservatives in America, what conservative in America do you know who's like, I want to restore America to the motherland of Britain and God save King Charles? Maybe in Canada they're like that, but still, but not here in America. Like even
Well,
Trump is still like,
monarchists in Canada don't have any kind of a political agenda. They just like the symbols and just like the status quo. So it's a
oh,
different
sure.
example, but
So,
yeah.
I forgot how we got on this. But
If Palpatine without Palpatine,
okay.
basically here's the real question. Would the consolidation of economic power and political power in Coruscant in the core, is that what did the Republic in? Would it have eroded eventually and turned into some sort of oligarchy or something?
I think
Whereas Palpatine
yes.
just made it faster. Yeah, well, I agree. I think it seems likely. What Maul says to Ahsoka: "Look around you; it's already happened." Now, of course,
But I
that's
think here's
3
the
years
interesting
into
thing.
Palpatine already pulling all the strings. But
But here I think
yeah,
is the interesting thing about it, and this is where again we can get to France.
13 years. Yeah.
Um uh Palpatine he didn't make the Republic simply an oligarchy. Because oligarchy,
Hmm.
I don't want to say an oligarchy democratic. But the idea around an oligarchy
Hmm.
is that the oligarchs are they can be democratic among themselves. It's like we are the
Yeah.
20 different most rich people, but we're all equal among ourselves, so we can all kind of vote. Palpatine is like,
Yeah.
I'm going to impose myself above the oligarchs. I am the emperor. That means I'm above you. The state is
Yeah.
above you. I'm above you because I'm Palpatine. I'm awesome. Um,
And he's the Senate.
you and said it. Like you can have your money and your wealth, but you can't but you can't go rogue on me because I will then
Mhm.
zap you.
Yeah.
Um,
And he'd
and
already
thus
nationalized them, nationalized Signer, nationalized these
and
other
that's sort of
yeah, the
thing.
weapons and all that. So
And so what you get instead of oligarchy, you get an autocracy, which is a
mhm.
lot more of a one guy on top.
Yeah.
They're rather rich people, which is sort of what you get with Napoleon and Napoleon III, who
Mhm.
are emperors in a bourgeois capitalist society, which is why
Yeah.
they're sort of different than, say, the ye old feudalist absolute monarchs of the medieval era, which is a little
Yeah.
different. So I think in some ways the republic stays a republic. It's just an oligarchical republic, which in Legends, funny enough, is kind of what it was already. So in some ways, it's
Yeah.
just reverting back. And if you follow Legends, it's just reverting back to what it originally
Mhm.
was before the Rusan Reformation.
Right.
And Paladin just like, you know what? Let's just I've got such an ego. I gotta be in charge. I am
Mhm.
the emperor for life. You all gotta do what I say.
Yeah.
And then you can get like a really cynical, like it's just my Mothma and the oligarchical elite just want to get rid of the one guy and then go back to being oligarch, which is obviously probably not true in the in universe text, but
Mhm.
if you want to look at it from like a real
Yeah.
world perspective, there's kind of that going on. So that's
I
kind of
mean,
my thought of like
yeah.
it's the decadence of the republic, but I don't know if like you
Mhm.
get the full on empire, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I will say an oligarchy is closer to Palpatine's vision. It's far less democratic than say Lena So's vision, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's still, if Lena So is representing the true the ideal of the Republic, then an oligarchy is still the loss of that ideal. It's just
Right.
in a different, maybe a slower, less dramatic way. And oddly
Like
enough,
over
I
the
mean,
top.
yeah, and interestingly though, that's the tension. Alexander Freed really plays with that tension with Mon Mothma, in Mask of Fear. Mon Mothma, has to you're saying, and the commonalities that an oligarchy and a true democracy, they're both different than what Palpatine's got. She has to appeal to these wealthy crime syndicate slash oligarchs effectively. Like she goes to this moon, Coruscant's moon. Those are basically oligarchs that she's trying to win over for this bill that has to make everyone happy. Somehow she succeeds until Palpatine, I mean, case in point, Palpatine just overrules it. And so even denying the oligarchs what they want. But it's still a tension. It's a tension that Bail doesn't stomach. Bail Organa doesn't stomach. It's tension that a bunch of members, like, she risked losing votes on the left because of it as this horrible compromise. So that in itself might have done the Republic in, right? And so it's possible, right? So it's almost to say, I mean, to go back to the very original question that ChatGPT sort of helped me with. I mean, it's that corruption that eroded the shared faith in institutions and ideals, right? Palpatine just becomes the spark, becomes the catalyst. James Lucino, there we go. Becomes the beneficiary of that loss of shared faith.
Well,
the Jedi, and here's another infinities that I want. Say the Jedi do take over, right? Say they succeed. Do they actually, do they restore democracy? Maybe. You'd like to think so, and I think George Lucas, his answer would be yeah, and that's why they don't succeed, because you have to have the Empire somehow. By the time Revenge of the Sith comes out, right? We've known about the Empire since 1977. But that would be a great what if, is, are there tensions? Because that's something that hasn't really, I mean, that gets explored probably with people who are cynical of the Jedi, but we haven't really seen much of a story. I guess High Republic does a little bit. We haven't seen much of a story of, well, the Acolyte does a little bit with Vernestra, but a story of Jedi who actually want power explicitly. Mace Windu kind of seems that way, but I don't know. Mace Windu might be the one to. I mean, he's the one suggesting taking over, but what do the Jedi create this theocracy as opposed to the oligarchs creating an oligarchy?
I feel like this is one of those things where it's really going to depend on who's writing it, because sort of like every time Superman takes over the world, it's like you can tell, like, you don't really like Superman. You just want to do this weird, like, power fantasy thing of like, what if Superman took over the world? Like, well, if you really like Superman, he wouldn't do that. That's the kind of the point of Superman. He's not a politician. He's a firefighter.
Especially now.
He's there to help people and save squirrels. That's kind of always been him at his core. I mean, there's always like, what if the superheroes took over? And it's like, but it's always like, it's always evil. I've always wondered, like, do you like, if you do that, do you do like a positive transition of power? And I guess that's kind of the that's just going to depend on the writer at that point. Like, but no, that is something that'd be a fun question. I mean, for me, I would just go full on, just post death of Julius Caesar kind of situation where you kind of have like a civil war. I feel like Anakin would be Augustus, and maybe he Tarkin team up, and Anakin's already lost faith in the Jedi, and then
that's true.
I don't know, I do something like that. That'd be fun. That's what I would do, because I take the Roman approach of like a civil war breaks out in the Republic between like Jedi loyalists and then like Palpatine loyalists, and then like the clones get divided because there's no Order 66 to like trigger their chips. So it's like some clones maybe side with the Jedi because they're like the Jedi commanders, and then others side with the pro Palpatine people.
Yeah.
gets really interesting, especially because if the clones have that independence by that point. Um, that's what I would do. So
Yeah.
that's me.
Yeah, like it's a good question. Like what happens to the clones? What happens to Padme and the twins? You know.
Mhm.
So
So yeah,
yeah.
that's a good one.
Mhm.
Got one time for one more? You think one more
Time
little
for one
chit chat?
more half an hour. Let's keep it a
Okay,
little short,
I
but
can make
that's
this.
great.
I'll make this one short. So I've been reading the Republic, the Clone Wars Republic stuff. I
Nice.
brought this for the prop. And one
Mhm.
thing I really like, and it's something I wish Clone Wars the show could have done a little bit more, is really show that this is not the war itself is not just the big conspiracy of let's kill the Jedi, but like every battle, every campaign has like a purpose to it
Mhm.
beyond just which this week the separatists must do this evil plot. How do we stop them? Oh no. So in like an example, and we talked about this when I did the review of the comic of the Battle of Camino, because yes, there was a Battle of Camino in the comics. Um, the attack on Camino was not meant to be a victory. There's like by the end, Dooku's like, yeah, we actively sabotaged our own people because we wanted the Clone Wars to last a long time. We didn't want the Separatists to have an
Mhm.
advantage early on.
Right.
So Dooku actively sabotages his own side with Sidious's approval, so
Sure.
that the Clone Wars, it's like, yeah, with the deaths of this person, the Club Kamino is still operational, and the Clone Wars will not end soon. That's what Sidious is telling
Mhm.
Dooku, and it really gets interesting of like just various campaigns had a purpose. Like Sidious sent
Mhm.
Anakin to this place once, and Palpatine did because like he really wanted to get into Anakin's head and really like mess with his mind and really
Mhm.
set his darkness. Or it's like the Separatists launched this attack so that Republic forces can go here, and the Republic can set a base there. And it's like I think Ride and Fall gets into this a little bit of like how the battles in the Clone
Mhm.
Wars aren't just, Dooku's trying to win. Oh no, they're probably gotta stop. It's like it's Dooku and City. It's like, okay, you go here, I'll go here.
Yeah.
I need this for the future. And it's like, okay, oh shoot, the separatists are maybe winning. I'm gonna send us here so we can keep this going a long time. Ooh, I have a plan for Anakin. Let's send him here. Ooh, let's get rid of some Jedi early. Let's send them there. Whole sabotage thing.
Mhm.
Um, it's just I think something that we don't talk enough about of like this war is not just a we gotta kill the Jedi. It's like no, every plan has like
Mhm.
a reasoning behind it. Every sort of campaign has sort of a
Yeah.
as a it's all we're shaping up the galaxy. We're thinking far future here. We're thinking about the Empire in tow, um, which is interesting.
Mhm.
Um, and that is something I think is interesting to think about.
Yeah.
And thinking about this one more time, I kind of realized I should have mentioned this, but I'm going to mention it now.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure.
this is why I think mall living is such an interesting thing, and it's one of the things about the mall show,
Mhm.
which was brought up, which I think is fascinating, is that they keep talking about how same way we're talking about how Maul was born in this era of dragons and knights and color and wizards and magic,
Mhm.
and now we get to see the Empire, and it's like, oh, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't know this was what we were doing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting that Dooku's dead. Maul was used to be dead until he lived, and now Dooku doesn't get to see what he wrought. Maul kind of gets to see what he wrought, even though he wasn't involved for like the later half.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just kind of those things I'm thinking about. Any response to my rambling for this last bit?
Well, I'll respond to both in reverse order. Yeah, I'm really fascinated by this series coming up,
Yeah.
Maul Shadow Lord. It's really going to explore the Empire as this not republic, this secular
Regime. Just call it regime.
regime. Um,
Despite
and
being ruled by Sith Lord.
from the point of view of someone who you consider an antagonist, but we haven't really. I mean, yeah, kind of the way with Rebels and I mean everything with Luke, re uh, what's the word? Gonna restarting, restoring a sense of imagination about the Force and yeah, like wizards and magic and color and all that. So yeah, I'm really really curious to see where they go with that.
Mhm.
because we haven't gotten it's an interesting choice to give it in Maul's put it in Maul's voice as opposed to I don't know say maybe Cal Kestis or maybe Ahsoka or some Jedi who will also lament that loss.
Well, I think
'Cause-
Maul's interesting because
Mhm.
he's responsible. Well, he is
Yeah,
responsible for setting it up in some degree.
yeah,
He obviously doesn't get to live to see the second half, but
yeah,
he knows what Sidious was probably going to
yeah.
do.
So you get this buyer's remorse. The thing about speaking and the thing about how that comes about. So your first thought,
The Clone Wars.
yeah. I think the reason of course is that the animated show is Ahsoka's and Rex's perspective, and they don't know anything about Palpatine's plan at all, and so that's why. But I would love to see. I don't know how long this would be. Maybe an ongoing comic, uh, or maybe something like an adult novel, but the same sort of kind of not really thing as Lost Stars, but the Clone Wars from Palpatine's perspective
Or
and
Dooku's.
Dooku's perspective. Actually, Dooku might be more interesting because he's the one who has to kind of pull back on the separatists. From that perspective. Well, at least from the perspective of the Sith and what they're trying to accomplish. As opposed to that's the Clone Wars. We're cheering for the Jedi. We're cheering for the clones. We're cheering for the Republic to win this thing.
The clankers.
Yeah, even though I used a clanker for telling this episode. That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, maybe that comic is what does it. Now I kind of want to read that comic. I've never read that one. That's
John Ostrander here.
Yeah. But like do a canon version of that because I don't know when. I mean, we're kind of getting fatigue about I guess we're getting the Maul story, but yeah, it'd be interesting. At least maybe give more occasional glimpses. And I know the Clone Wars did give occasional glimpses here and there, especially with Palpatine Ex Machina, Sith Ex Machina, like on Mandalore or something. Mandalore take out Maul, and then whenever Sidious and Tyrannus would have their chats, their fireside chats. But it's true. We haven't. We know it. We know in the background. Maybe it's one of those things where they want it's enough for now just to preserve that sense of, oh yeah, in the back of our minds, this is what is happening while we're watching the show and we're cheering for half of the thing that's accomplishing this thing, right? We're cheering for the Republic, and of course it's the clones that end up doing it, but also even a story that does explore what Beaumont kin, but Chris Gemshall talking about the meat grinder or the meat pounder, right, of the galaxy, that as the Clone Wars, and in making them so exhausted by war that they want the order, the peace. So yeah,
I'll just say I think funny enough, this is why I love the Revisionist novelization, because I think it gives so much more context to the Battle of Coruscant beyond just the shocking opener, like, oh my god, Coruscant's under attack. It's like, no, it's all part of Sidious's plan, and Sidious orchestrated his own capture. And you actually get Dooku's perspective, where he thinks he's gonna surrender to Anakin and Obi-Wan, and
that's the plan. Yeah,
that's the plan. I'm gonna surrender. Well, first I'm gonna kill Obi-Wan, and then Anakin's gonna follow the dark side. I'll surrender. Then Dooku thinks I'll just blame all the evil stuff the Separatists did on Grievous, make him seem like, it wasn't me, it was Grievous. He did all that. I didn't know. I didn't know all this horrible stuff. And then at the end, once we eliminate the Jedi, Palpatine be like, we have made peace. Dooku has repented. He, me, and Anakin, we're gonna reconstruct the galaxy. A new glorious reconstruction era begins. It'll be the three of us. Will be great. And then Dooku obviously dies, and then realizes.
I agree. I mean that novelization's incredible. I think a lot of that is contained. One of my favorite moments of this film, Christopher Lee, when Palpatine says "kill him," the
Yeah.
look in his eyes,
So betrayed.
I mean that's a master, Christopher Lee, being a master at work, but
Mhm.
the look in that eyes, like that's not the plan. That wasn't the plan, and so yeah, I agree. Matthew Stover does such a brilliant job, and I'm really excited for this, for all those footnotes. But yeah, the different, all these contexts of what the plan is, but tell us a story about it. I don't know. I mean, it's good to get the essay, the Beaumont Kin essay. It's brilliant. I mean, maybe that's kind of actually the way we get it is a more extended treatment of that. We do get a bit of it in Rise and Fall, and that's, I mean, the Clone Wars chapter and the Senate chapters are the ones I've read. Yeah, give us a more extended, developed treatment of how Palpatine orchestrates this. Again, I do think for now it's enough for it to be just a mystery lurking in the back of our minds.
Hmm.
But it'll be fun one day, especially looking back on real world situations and how democracies are given away. Art creating meaning, myth as a cautionary tale. There it is. Bring it all full circle. Yeah, give us that story too. So
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, I think that was a good
Yeah,
conversation. Unless you got one more you wanted to get out of your chest.
I'm good. I'm
I'm good too.
hungry. I
I
want
was,
to get some noodles.
I'm gonna get some noodles too. Funny enough, so yeah,
There we go. So,
love our
uh,
noodles.
but yeah, I mean, definitely, Joel. We always do this. We always just go for it and end up going for it. It's how we roll here on the Iron Cannon podcast.
Mhm.
If you did like this episode, please do let us know. Let us know of all the different thoughts, concerns, questions. If you're worried about our sanity,
I worry about our
let us know.
sanity too sometimes, so don't worry.
No, it's good. It's all good. Let us know what you thought of our conversation tonight. Please do comment below. Give this video a like and a share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Joel, again, this was great. Let's do this again sometime. Where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me at JID20234 on Blue Sky, JID20234 on Blue Sky. Hi Tyler.
Oh. There we go.
Oh,
Yes.
very low people. You can find me
Okay.
at JID20234 on Blue Sky, and of course on Star Wars Underworld Discord. I just put a video of Star Wars online YouTuber who is making a really cool Heir to the Empire animated movie, the special edition, because they're always perfecting their animation techniques. So if you ever want to see the original Thrawn trilogy in animated form with cool 3D computer graphics and actual music and voiceover, this fan-made project is really cool. I don't know the guy personally. I just posted on the Discord, but I really like it, so go check it out. Yeah, and Friday, hopefully, I can get Ben to stream Star Wars Visions Volume 1.
Nice. There we go. Yes, Daisy, you should definitely go get noodles. And then you could follow. I mean, you don't have to, but if folks want to follow my food account, beaches.foodie, there's always noodles there. There's going to be more noodles coming up on my Canadian National Exhibition C&E Eats. That's showing up there. I'm excited for that. My main Instagram, MEG1138, and of course on at the SW and all that on sorry. I'm hungry. Discombobulated. MEG1138 is my Instagram, Twitter, or Instagram Threads and Blue Sky, and then beaches.foodie is my other Instagram, and then NEUG485 is Twitter, and and then of course Tractor Beam coming up this Wednesday, Jedi Knights number 6. I'm going number 4, Insider 233. That's what I was gonna say. Insider 233, like Mask of Fear, Battle of Coruscant damage. So we're starting to see things little bits like that.
That's always fun.
And the effect of that. So yeah, please do check that out right here, 6 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday night. Chris and I are chatting about those, and then Friday, August 22nd, this Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, in room 704. If you're there at Fan Expo, join Ash, join Ethan Sachs and Paulo Villanelli to chat about bounty hunters, about Poe Dameron and Codebreaker, and about Star Wars in general. What they love about Star Wars, what draws them to it, and the comics industry and all that fun stuff. And then stay tuned for that to be that recording. Hopefully everything works out to record it and everything. So that'll go up on this channel at some point. So stay tuned for that. And of course, if you're at Fan Expo Canada, please do come say hi. Please do let me know, send me a DM, and say, hey, let's meet up, whatever. I'm there. I'm happy to meet up, happy to hang out. And then of course, Star Wars content, I will check out at the SWU, everything else at Culture Slate, similar to what I did in San Diego. Check that out. So looking forward to my hometown con. It's gonna be my when was the first time I went? Would have been, I guess, 2011. Yeah, maybe 14th year maybe. So looking forward to that. So everything there. Tractor Room is a go. Next week on Iron Canon Podcast is a go. Next week, we are going to talk about minor characters who went major, and part of that, nestled within that, hidden within that conversation, is the paper to screen pipeline, or maybe it's a screen to paper pipeline, whichever. We'll figure
Sometimes
it out
it's screen to paper to back to screen.
Yeah, maybe. So different things, including Jackson. Yes. Here we go. Please come back next, same Catacoot time, same Catacoot channel. That's a good that's a High Republic deep cut now. Right here, next Monday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel and Facebook, and this episode 9 Facebook and Underworld Twitch and Ion Canon Twitch and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and there we go. I think I got them all. Joel, it's been fun, great conversation. Let's blow this thing and head home.